All right.
It's recording.
Welcome to Keeping It Grounded with the Groundskeeper. I'm the Groundskeeper, and this beautiful young man over here is.
I'm JR, or the Pandaman is what I'm called.
All right. I prefer the Panda Man. Um, for our first episode, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm a musician. I go by the Groundskeeper on stage. That is also my solo artist name. I was also a part of a couple different bands, Class
Yep.
Traders out of Orange County, and Six Steps In with wherever he is. I'm gonna edit it later. So the other person played in a band, Six Steps In, with me.
Yes.
And as of most recently, my last project was a Thorazine Work Party, which actually, sneak peek, that might be coming back starting tomorrow. We'll see.
Oh, I
New
am not
bandmate.
aware of that.
New bandmate. Shit's
Okay.
changing. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Very
It's
exciting.
very hopeful. Very hopeful. All right.
Okay,
Tell
very
us about
good.
yourself, Panda Man.
Well, I am not a musician. I'm musician adjacent, I would say. But I've been working with the groundskeeper here for almost 10 years writing songs. I've been doing a lot of the things that you don't really see performance-wise, but as far as like writing goes, I'm there. Ideas and themes and stuff like that. Other than that, all the performing is him, and so. But I'm glad to be here.
Cool. Okay. A tiny bit of small talk. Um, some of those motorcycle reels are taking off, and the whole point is just to get more traction
Yeah,
onto my Facebook and Instagram so that more people see my music.
yeah.
I don't know how that's going. I'm not sure that the people watching those videos are going through my stuff, but I mean, even if like, man, there was a video that got like 90,000 views, even if,
Yeah, it's the one I reposted, right? It's the one that has
yeah,
only losers are like jealous of their friends,
that
stuff like
one, that
that.
one's upwards of like 30K views. But either
Oh,
way, I mean, even if like 1/10% of those people see something that I do musically
right.
and that exposes them to it and they like it, that's
Hmm.
awesome. That's the
Right.
intent. So I'm gonna keep investing into music related stuff and
Yeah.
motorcycle stuff so I can keep trying to make those two things that I love a whole lot mesh real well.
Sure, sure, yeah. Funny thing about like reaching people. So, on my way back here at home to from work, I receive a random message on Instagram saying like, "Hey, this popped on my feed," and I thought, "Oh, is that JR?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was." And guess who it was? It was Josh Chase.
Oh shit.
So shout out Josh Chase if you're watching this. But and then he was like, "Is that Tanner?" I'm like, "Oh, it is Tanner." So I had no idea, but it was really fun just to see. But anyway, so Tanner, what do you want to talk about today?
Okay. So our first episode and hopefully people like this. I'm gonna be reading a trip report of somebody who has done some drugs.
Oh,
This was one of my favorite pastimes all through the later years of high school and early college before I dropped out of college.
mhm.
This is what I spent the majority of my time doing when, I wasn't actively
Wait.
having experiences
So,
myself.
so you mean actively doing like the reports or the actual drugs?
I was reading the reports more.
Oh,
Listen here, this is public. So we're not going to get too into the weeds here. I liked reading these reports a whole lot.
okay.
Some of them are funny, some of them are terrifying, some of them are both, and
Yeah.
that that's gonna describe this one is terrifying and a little
Okay.
funny, but so that's what we're gonna do. We're going to read a report by somebody who goes by the Wonder,
Okay.
and their report is titled "Tripping Balls into the ER."
All right. Let's hear it. What do
All
we
right.
got?
Okay. So the reason I'm submitting this report is to warn fellow trippers the dangers of mixing dextromethorphan and SSRIs and the general danger of diphenhydramine. So for those not aware, dextromethorphan is the active ingredient in cough syrup, Robitussin,
Okay. Sure.
Delsum, et
Sure.
cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. SSRIs are antidepressants. And
Okay.
then diphenhydramine is the active ingredient in Benadryl,
Then it's like
which is
antihistamines. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a deliriant, which is one of the most terrifying types of psychedelics that there are.
So
And this
he's
guy,
saying that the dangers is mixing all three.
yeah, yeah. And
Okay,
honestly, just
understood.
from the bit that I know, really the diphenhydramine is where it sounds dangerous to me. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've seen people try to pick spiders out of concrete and rip their fingernails off.
But the thing is, like, there's people who take allergy meds daily.
Yes,
Are you
but
talking about like, are
usually
you
they're
talking about like an
taking
inordinate amount? Like, it's just like too
right.
much.
Yeah,
Okay,
usually when you're taking Benadryl, especially like just to go to sleep, you're taking one, maybe two. If
sure,
you're
sure.
really having a reaction, you might take three or four. Um, this guy here took 300 milligrams of diphenhydramine, which is
Oh my
12
gosh.
tablets.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. We're jumping in. It was the last day of my fall '05 finals. I was 18 at the time at my university and decided I wanted to trip balls to celebrate the end of a fairly decent semester. I
Hilarious.
decided to mix two over the counters I had experimented with a few times before, dextromethorphan and diphenhydramine. Note, I've been prescribed 20 milligram daily dose of Paxil for anxiety, depression for the past 2 years and throughout my entire drug experimentation career. The biggest mistake I made on this day was mistaking the missed dose of Paxil would mean that I would be okay to take a large amount of the dextromethorphan and diphenhydramine. Hey, to make this simpler, moving forward, when I say dextromethorphan, I'm just going to say DXM, and for diphenhydramine, I'm just going to say DPH. Let's try to shorten that up. I have done DXM 3 times previous to this night, 4 ounces, 6 ounces, 4 ounces each, with no other active ingredient. I had done DPH at tripping doses maybe 3 or 4 times. However, I had been using it as a sedative or a sleep aid for a while, never going above 300 milligrams in a single dose.
Okay, time out, time out. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the suggested dosage for each is about an ounce for the cough syrup, and
Well,
then
the recommended dose on the bottle is usually a tablespoon.
no, it's 30 mils.
Is it real? Oh, you're
Yeah,
right. No, you're
yes,
not.
it's
You're not
30 mils.
wrong.
It's an ounce. And then I think for the other one it's about 10 milligrams.
I believe the pills, at least of Benadryl, are about 25 milligrams.
Oh, 25. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
in a single pill. And it
Okay.
for dextromethorphan, it all depends on the particular product. So Robitussin has its own thing, and Coracetin
Right.
and cold and cough. All of these different
Hmm.
cough suppressants have their own dosage. But for Robitussin, usually you drink 4 to 8 ounces at a time, from what I've heard, to get a more than your cough suppressed.
Right. So, and just yeah, we do not recommend this, by the way.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I am
yeah,
not. I'm not recommending taking large
yeah.
amounts of cough syrup if you have anything important to do. Okay, um, so let's see what I had going for me tonight. Equaling my largest dose of DXM plus an SSRI, which is already a bad combo in and of itself, mixed with another drug, and matching my largest single dose of DPH. I remember thinking, shit, I hope I don't suffer serotonin syndrome tonight. Fucking karma, huh? Now, to begin with the experience, around 10 p.m., I decided to go to the local Walgreens to pick up the desired over the counters before they closed at 11. 30 minutes in, I call my buddy Mike and ask if he's busy. He knows what's up and realizes that I want him to watch and trip sit for me. At 11 p.m., I down 6 ounces of the 8 ounce bottle of maximum strength Robitussin, and I swallow 12 25 milligram tablets of Benadryl immediately after. I
Oh my
tell my
God.
buddy Mike and my buddy Matt that I'm going to trip massive balls tonight, and that would end up being a massive understatement. Matt and I decided to go back to my dorm to get Super Smash Brothers for the N64, the perfect tripping game,
Yes, sir.
before I start hitting the proverbial floor. 11:30 p.m. We are back at Matt and Mike's dorm now, and we pop in the game. I begin to feel the wonderful DXM feeling of euphoria, disassociation, and the altered mental state we all know and love. 11:45, the diphenhydramine begins to hit me. I almost forgot I had taken so much. My vision blurs, I see the fuzzies, and I feel it. I'm very glad I didn't take another 12 tabs and tell Mike not to let me have any more. At midnight, playing video games is too complex of a task for me to complete, and I decide to just try and enjoy my estate. It was around this time that my trip went into overdrive. I would close my eyes and see green strips of colors streaming everywhere, and I kept saying I was in the Matrix really loud. As I tried to enjoy the closed eye visuals, I began to feel afraid, as though if I closed my eyes for too long, I would slip into a coma or death. And I really don't know why I was
God.
thinking this. I began to feel paranoid and wondering if I should induce vomiting. Several friends began to ask if I was all right. By this time, I was zoning out and I looked really, really fucked up. 12:30 a.m. Oh boy, what have I got myself into? I begin to feel the effects of diphenhydramine overdose or the SSRI induced serotonin syndrome, probably a mix of both. My body began to tremor pretty badly, and I couldn't stop shaking. My heart rate had shot through the roof, around 170 beats per minute.
Oh my
My
God.
breathing became heavy and erratic. I was in a pretty big state of delusion and disassociation. It was fucking weird tripping while going through an overdose. And I distinctly remember looking into a mirror and thinking I was the person in the mirror. At this point, I have realized what every intelligent, informed tripper fears. I have really fucked up this time. I tell Mike I think I should try to puke and get this stuff out of my system. And I proceed to puke a minimal amount of what looked like cough syrup. At this point, it was clearly too late to puke anything out. This is a weird situation, being in that spot, knowing that you're too messed up and thinking maybe I can throw up, and
Yeah.
not being able to throw up. All of a sudden, there's like a switch in your brain that goes from, oh no, I am definitely past the point of no return. This is how it's gonna be.
That is such a weird, and that's probably a scary thing. It was like you can't throw up. Not
Yeah,
having the
yeah.
ability to throw up is kind
Right,
of
because
scary.
you've digested so far that you don't have the control. Like even people who, there's some people who have the control where they can just kind of like squeeze their
Right,
intestines
right,
and
right.
everything and in their stomach, and they can get stuff out. And but getting to that point where you, it's just so far just gone through the intestinal tract that you're done. That's
Hmm.
it's a terrifying realization. All right. Around 1 a.m., my symptoms have progressed worse and worse, and I yelled out, "Somebody call 911." Everyone in the room looks at me and they just seen, it looks like they'd seen a ghost. Mike and Matt try to calm me down, asking if maybe I was just overreacting and freaking out, more or less having a bad trip. I'd say. Yeah. I tell them that this is the worst it has ever gotten. Not to mention, I could hear my heart beating through my chest, which really
Oh my
scared the shit
God.
out of me, and that I thought I was suffering from serotonin syndrome. The ironic thing of this whole situation is that I knew the danger of DXM and SSRIs, and I knew the danger of taking too much DPH, yet I still did it. I had considered myself an intelligent drug experimenter, researching each psychoactive extensively before any use. Whoops. Good job on being intelligent this time around. I guess the only positive thing is that I knew what an OD would be like, so I eventually went to the hospital before I passed out or seized.
Wow.
Eventually, I convinced Matt to call 911, and I met the police officer in the lobby of the dorm. It was at this point I was hyperventilating, tremoring uncontrollably, and experiencing some extreme tachycardia. The officer asked what I ingested and why. I told him everything truthfully and didn't feel shame or fear because I was tripping so hard. The cop asked if I tried to commit suicide. Of course, this wasn't the case. I merely told him I just wanted to trip some major balls. I can't believe I told a cop that. 1:30 a.m. Two medics bring in a stretcher and load me into the ambulance. People were watching and staring at me like I was some freak show. Under normal circumstances, I would have felt embarrassed, but I was tripping balls, so I might even have waved to everyone. Oh my god, I can imagine. I've seen drunk people do that. In the ambulance, I
Waving to
remember.
everyone is a funny scene.
Yeah, they're gonna save my life.
That's funny.
Um, I remember asking the male medic if I was going to die, if I would have died if I didn't call 911, and I was very curious on what he was injecting me with, something that lowered my heart rate. Now, here's where things start to get really trippy. On the way to the ER, I remember seeing the windows on the van turn to black, and the view of outside seemed to be streaking and melting. As I felt the van moving, I remember feeling like I was a video game character and was totally out of my mind. I almost felt psychotic. I remember telling a friend I felt as though my soul was being extracted from my body. I was tripping hard.
Mm.
1:45 a.m. I am carted into the ER and remember various personnel asking me questions and all kinds of formal hospital shit. Around this time, of I lost any sense of time, and I don't remember anything until I was released in the morning. I'm still tremoring massively and breathing abnormally. However, my heart rate began to descend around 140 BPM. The doctor eventually comes in, and I distinctly remember him telling me I was a fucking idiot. This was some old white haired doc, too, so I found it pretty humorous at the time. He tells me that they're going to pump my stomach, and I remember thinking it couldn't be that bad. The next hour or so, I sat in my bed, shaking and tripping balls, wondering what the fuck is going on. I motioned toward a nurse for a urine container to piss into. Pissing took at least 10 minutes until I finally managed to urinate. After that,
Whoa.
I just laid in my bed crying, hoping I was going to live through this. I refused to try to sleep or shut my eyes because I was afraid I would never wake up. I remember at one point forcing myself to shake so I wouldn't hear my heart beating, and it took my mind off the fact that I was fucking ODing and was in the hospital. How fucked up is that? Convulsing basically calmed me down. At this point, I started to have massive delusions, visual distortions, and auditory hallucinations. I
Mm.
kept hearing my friends from my dorm talking, and I thought that they had all come to visit me. And I remember staring through the window of my room and just seeing things melt and distort with the feeling that I was a video game character once again. About 1 more hour later, now they finally come in and pump my stomach. Now, I was conscious throughout this whole ordeal and really had no idea what to expect. I'll spare you the details and just say that having a 2 inch in diameter tube stuck down your throat into your stomach is the worst experience
Oh
I've
my
ever had the
God.
pleasure to endure. Yeah, holy crap.
That's
Um,
wild.
as soon as they eventually got the tube all the way down and admitted enough of the charcoal, this took several agonizing attempts, and the amount I was puking up felt like I would have been drowned in water for years. It was horrific and disgusting. I dramatically felt a change in consciousness. I basically stopped tripping altogether and just had a mild buzz. I didn't think that the deactivating charcoal would work so fast. Since I was in at least a stable state of consciousness now, I began to reflect on what had just happened. I felt like I had fucked up my entire life. I had my friends, Mike and Mark, and another friend come visit me. Call my dad reluctantly to tell him what happened. I remember thinking that he would be utterly confused about what had happened because he only knew that I had ever occasionally smoked weed or drank alcohol.
Hmm.
The next 2 hours, I sat around and waited for the nurse to help me clean up all the charcoal that was all over. It looked like The Exorcist in my room, and I remember telling the janitor I was sorry for making such a mess, and he told me he had seen much worse. That's got to feel nice. Thank you, Mr. Janitor. I eventually got a clean bed to lay on and tried to get some sleep before my dad came to bitch me out. At this point, my heart rate was down to about 120 and falling. I knew I was in the clear and would be all right. Around 7 a.m. or so, I truly don't remember, my dad comes in the room and starts bawling his eyes out. And I had never seen my dad cry before, so this made me feel like shit. And I began to cry and blah blah blah. We had a moment type shit. I felt so dirty and awkward sitting in the ER next to my dad and lamenting on my life and how I never even drank any amount of alcohol until about 2 weeks before college. Around 10 a.m., heart rate is around 90 BPM, and they come back with the drug screen results. I did not test positive for any illicit substances. The official diagnosis was that I had an anticholinergic overdose.
Mm.
I wish I was smart enough to know what that meant. It sounds serious. Basically, they concluded that the diphenhydramine is what did me in, although I think the DXM and the Paxil had done the damage as well. I get released and hug my dad before I get into the car and tell him I'm never going to do it again and all the heartwarming BS, and I sleep on the 2 hour drive back home. 12 p.m. or so, I go to my bed and sleep until 8 p.m. that night. I was exhausted. All effects of the drug had worn off by now, and my heart rate was back to normal. The next month proceeded to be the worst month of my life for various reasons, and I had basically lost all of what little respect I had for my parents and began to feel very alienated and pissed at myself for letting myself become a statistic. I haven't done DXM again yet, but probably will do it again.
Yet is funny.
I am now
After all
off
that
of
is yet.
right. I am now off of Paxil completely. I began using DPH again for a couple weeks. It felt good with weed until I took 200 milligram in one sitting one night after work, and I had an acute adverse reaction, high heart rate, and mild tremors. I toughed it out that night and remained calm. I haven't done it since and plan to never use it more than as a simple sleep aid as it was meant to be. I can't believe it almost took me a second trip to the ER to stop fucking with this. In conclusion, to all my fellow trippers out there, don't fuck with dextromethorphan while on SSRIs. And diphenhydramine is the only drug I have done thus far that I would recommend against using in any trip doses. In my opinion, don't go over 6 25 milligram tablets of diphenhydramine. Otherwise, adverse reactions will probably occur. Trip hard, be safe, don't become a statistic. Brian.
All right, Brian. So tell the audience where's the source of this again?
So any trip reports that this trip report that I read and any trip reports that we may read in the future all come from arrowwood.org. It is a great resource. I do not suggest people necessarily do drugs willy-nilly. However, people do drugs and harm reduction is important. So if you absolutely have to, whether you've done them or not, arrowwood.com.org is an amazing resource for the general knowledge of the chemistry of drugs, how to potentially safely use them, things to watch out for if you have
Yeah.
interactions, if you're mixing with other drugs. Arrowwood is an amazing resource. You can pick the
So
individual item.
is it like all anecdotes from like users, and so it's not backed by like professionals like
Oh no,
doctors and
no,
stuff
no,
like
no.
that?
There are tons and tons of resources. So there are experiences. There are plenty of experiences of people who've done it, who've had good and bad experiences. But a huge portion, I think the larger portion that's mostly probably ignored on Arrowwood is the general information about every single drug, and they're all just like Wikipedia. They're all linked to sources, to whether it's
Okay.
books or whatever it may be, and there's novels and
hmm
everything. So if you absolutely have to do drugs in your life, which try to avoid it if you can. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
just
good
for
shit.
the
There's
record, we do
there's
not recommend.
motorcycles. I mean,
We do
anyway.
not
But
recommend
if you got
doing
to do
it.
drugs, be safe. Be safe. Have people that you care about around you that are going to make it good, and read and learn, and always be safe, no matter what you're doing. Speaking of which, um, uh, Rebel Rhythm Collective out in Vegas does a really great job with harm reduction. Anytime you go to a show that is Rebel Rhythm Collective related, they're going to be having Narcan and things available for harm reduction.
What is that?
So shout out
A
to Rebel
band?
Rhythm.
What is that?
Rebel Rhythm is a nonprofit
Oh, got it.
company out in Vegas that puts on punk and ska shows and all kinds of shows out in the
Oh,
Vegas
good,
area.
good. Yeah, because it's
You
like
you've been to one of their shows. I
it's a
played
lot.
it.
It's a lot of people in the scene, in that scene, that is possible that have either been exposed to drugs, used drugs actively, or so
Right,
it's
and no judgment here. If you're
yeah,
doing
absolutely
drugs, I
not.
just
Yeah.
please don't die. I love you guys.
Yeah,
I'm tired of hearing about fellow
we want to
musicians
hear.
dying and not
Yeah.
getting their shit tested. Get fentanyl test strips if you gotta. Okay. On a happier note, I guess we can move on to our song of the week pick.
Yeah,
What do you
so
got?
we're going to be doing Song of the Week every episode, and so I got wherever we put it. I'll send you a screenshot, Tanner. But this week I have it's called Bees, and it's by the Ballroom Thieves. Check that
Okay.
out. It's awesome. It's a very acoustic song. I personally enjoy it a lot, and so I've been listening to it recently. So, what about you, Tanner? What do you got?
Awesome. Um, Man, so a song that has been on repeat. I recently got exposed. I had actually listened to this band prior, but I was reintroduced to this band, and somebody sent me a song in this album, and I listened to the whole thing, and I keep coming back to this one. So the band is The Sound of Animals Fighting. The album is The Ocean and the Sun, and the song is called Uzbekistan. It's like a seven
Ooh,
minute song. So I mean, if you're trying to listen to music real quick and whatever, man, but this song it's like a theater in your head. I've listened to it twice where I just lay back in a dark room, close my eyes, and there's
yeah.
something just so haunting. It's math rock, it's prog, and it's just so hauntingly like it creeps into the edges of your brain.
Yeah, I
Especially
got it.
the last 3 minutes of the song has like this spoken word going on, and I don't even know. I tried to read the lyrics to determine a meaning, and I can't. But it's just so good that each individual line can hook you in such a way and make you feel something.
Yeah, it's Uzbekistan, that like the country Uzbekistan.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, I think that's all the time we have for this week. But just for everyone to know, there's actually or absolutely no rhyme or reason with this podcast. We're just going to be talking about random shit. And but we will have song of the week, because obviously Tanner and I are like the root of this whole thing is music. So all we always share music with each other, and we're gonna do that moving forward with you guys.
Yeah, got ideas. I got ideas for talking about specific types of music and specific types of musicians and all kinds of things. So anybody who wants to put their 2 cents in, whether you like stuff that we are doing, tell us, or if you've got suggestions for what we should talk about, throw it down. We're open. We're gonna do this weekly anyways because we talk for hours at a time anyways, and I cry and
Yeah.
and
So
and pretend to
yeah.
hug JR over the phone. So we might as well
Well,
we might as well show you guys what we do while we're
I
doing
will
it
be there next month. So very excited to see you again. So
in person, keeping
in
it grounded.
person. That's right. Maybe, perhaps. So let's do it. But anyway, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.